This week was a pretty choppy one on Bitcoin, but we just gave you two predictions that ended up playing out very nicely. The first one was given last Sunday, and what we wanted to see was a strong drop to the downside to take out this low at $99,400 and then see a reversal to the upside. And then when we saw this scenario play out, we gave you another update, and what we wanted to see was a continuation to the upside to $105,000 and then see a much bigger reversal to the downside. And if I go back to the charts, well, we can say that these scenarios played out pretty accurately. So with that said, before I dive into today's price action and what we can expect next, I just want to talk you through what happened on this high, and don't take this section lightly, because if you want to become a better trader, it will be important for you to understand what you did right, what we did wrong, and what you were looking at on this high. So with that said, let's get right into it. So when you got the first move up and the first rejection before my level, I still wanted to see higher prices towards at least $105,000, and then of course I wanted to see the reversal to the downside. And we had two very strong reasons to expect lower prices. The first one was given in my last update, and this was that Monday's low was not a strong low in my view, which is why I wanted to see price come back down and take out this low. But the second reason came out during the week, and this was that we now had a wickless daily candle. And this is a very good conference to expect lower prices, because these candles tend to act as a magnet to price. So in the end, I went to sleep of course. The next day I woke up and we had no reaction at my level. So what I said on the Discord is that we had now a very obvious channel. If you connected the highs and the lows, you came up with this channel. And with this in mind, I gave two scenarios for the short positions. The first one was to lose the low of the channel and get a retest of the low of course, which would be a good short position. But the second one was to get a fake out above the high of the channel, which would also be a good short position. And what do I mean by a fake out above the high? Well, it's very simple. It would mean a move up, take out the highs, and then come back down into the channel, which would be a very bearish sign. So what happened in the end? We came down to the low of the channel, we got an imbalance at the lows, it was holding pretty well, so that's why personally I took a long position. We then got the breakout above the channel, but I was aware of the scenario, as I said before, of the fake out above the high of the channel, which in the end did actually happen, as you can see right there. So you got the drop, the bounce to the upside, the fake out above the high of the channel, and then a drop back right into it. And as you can see, this channel was still respected very well. The low offered support one more time, and the high was offering resistance. So at this point, of course, as my scenario played out perfectly, I was pretty bearish and I wanted to see much lower prices. So what I did the next day is simply take a short position just below $105,000. And the logic behind it, if I just show you on the charts quickly, was that we had two imbalances, and what I did was simply short the retest of these imbalances at $104,900, as you can see. So again, back on the Discord, I took the short, I wanted to see lower prices. The channel was still acting as resistance. I took another short position as we had another move up, an imbalance, take out the higher rejection at $104,900. But even though we got a very nice drop to the downside, I moved my stop loss to entry, 104.9. But in the end, price just decided to move up higher. And I was done for the week simply because this market was too choppy for me. And as I took two break-even trades on the shorts, I simply did not want to overtrade. But if you go back to the charts, as you can see, what happened was that we got one last bounce to the upside, and then we finally got that much bigger reversal that I was waiting for such a long time. So I'll be honest with you, it was pretty annoying to miss this drop even though I was so ready for it. However, what happened on this bounce and on this high, just for you to understand the move, is that if you take this volume profile that I gave you in my last update, we simply came back up one last time into the value area high, and this gave us that lower high before we finally saw that bigger drop to the downside. Of course, personally, the reason that I didn't expect this move is simply because usually when you tap the value area high, you come back down and lose the point of control. You don't really expect price to come back up one more time into the value area high before getting a drop to the downside, but all in all, that's what happened. And by the way, the point of control was one of the conferences that I used to take my short positions. As you can see, again, $104,900. But in any case, with all of this out of the way, what can you expect next on the charts? Will the range low at $99,400 offer support to see a big bounce to the upside, or do I still expect lower prices next? Well, of course, personally, I still expect lower prices simply because the main reason that I wanted to see lower prices was that this was a weak low that I talked about in my last update, Monday's low, because again, a quick recap, we had a double bottom just before finalizing this 4-hour imbalance. So at this point, of course, even though we're at the range low, I still expect lower prices. I'm not going to short this, of course. First of all, it's the weekend. I don't trade the weekends. And second of all, you never short support. In any case, I still expect lower prices. I do believe that $96,700 will get reached pretty easily. But one thing to note is that this downtrend does seem to be very strong. We've even dropped a lot during Saturday, which doesn't happen very often. So what I want to do is give you just one more support level, just in case we do drop lower and our level doesn't offer support. And the other level that I would mark out would be on the 1-hour chart. We have this hourly imbalance that could get filled at $94,800. And that's also an interesting level because if you look at these highs and this low, this is simply an SR flip. So this would be resistance, resistance that was flipped into support. So if we come back into it one more time, this could offer support again one more time. So let's say that we see a drop, we fill the hourly imbalance, and we see a reaction, then this could offer a nice long position for a bigger reversal to the upside. So now let's look at what you have above us. Can you expect higher prices, or was this actually the all-time high on Bitcoin? So if you look at these highs, in my view, these are not very strong highs, simply because actually not this high, but if you look at these highs, these are not strong highs in my view, simply because you have a first high, then you have a lower high, a lower high, a lower high, and yet another lower high. So what this means is that we have a lot of liquidity laying above this level, so above $107,200. So that's why at some point, as I said last week, this was not a strong low, and I did expect price to come back down below this low. These are not strong highs, and I do expect price at some point to come back up and break these highs. And another conference to expect higher prices is that we have this 4-hour imbalance that I also expect to get revisited and filled. So what you can do is mark out the open of this candle, and I do expect that at some point price will come back up and fill out this imbalance, so $105,400. So with all of this in mind, that's mainly what I'm looking for on the charts. To the downside, we have two support levels that are very important. So if we see a drop, the first support level would be 96.7k. If we see a reaction, of course, then this could offer a pretty nice long position. However, if we don't see a very good reaction, then personally I will be waiting for $94,800. And again, if it offers a nice reaction, then we could look for a much bigger reversal to the upside. And one last thing to note is that if we do drop to the downside and we lose both of these levels, then this would be a pretty bearish sign on Bitcoin in my view, and we could expect much lower prices and a drop towards at least $85,000. And that's why these two support levels, 96.7 and 94.8, will be extremely important this week. So all in all, that was mainly it for this update. A quick recap, we have pretty weak highs around $107,000 and we have a 4-hour imbalance. So that's why personally I would expect a reversal to the upside at some point and a new all-time high on Bitcoin. And to the downside, we have two very important support levels, 96.7 and 94.8. Personally at this point, I would love to see a drop towards 94.8k simply because it would offer a better long position in my opinion, for a bigger reversal to the upside. However, if we come back down towards 96.7 and we see a good reaction, this would also offer a nice long position. So as usual, if you guys enjoyed this update, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.